Good evening. I'm Lancaster. Tonight's story comes from a family that asked me to change their names. After hearing what happened, I don't blame them. So turn down the lights, get comfortable, and if your house has a crawl space, maybe don't think about it too much. Marcus Bennett never believed in ghosts. Old houses made noise, floors settled, pipes knocked, wind found its way through cracks in the walls. Everything had a reason. Everything. Except this. The farmhouse sat alone at the end of an old tobacco road. The nearest neighbor lived almost half a mile away. At night, the pine trees swallowed every sound. Marcus and his wife Emily had been there less than 3 weeks when it started. Every night, at exactly 3 o'clock, someone whispered his name. Not loudly, not angrily, almost lovingly. Marcus. He'd sit straight up in bed. Emily never woke. The room would be silent. He searched every room, locked every door, checked every window. Nothing. It happened again the next night, and the next. Always 3 o'clock. Always one whisper. Always from beneath the floor. Marcus stopped telling himself it was the pipes. He bought motion cameras. Nothing. He checked the crawl space with a flashlight. Nothing. Just old beams, dust, and a rusty lantern sitting against one of the foundation blocks. He didn't remember seeing that before. It looked ancient. The glass was cracked. The metal was cold. He picked it up. For just a second, he could have sworn. Somebody whispered, "Thank you." He laughed at himself, set the lantern in the garage, and forgot about it. Or at least, he tried to. The whispers changed. Now, they weren't just saying his name. Sometimes they sounded like Emily. Sometimes his late father. One night, he heard his own voice. "Come down here." That scared him more than anything because it sounded exactly right. Marcus drove to the county records office, hoping to learn something about the property. The woman behind the desk looked uncomfortable when he gave the address. Without saying a word, she disappeared into the back. Several minutes later, she returned carrying 4 thick folders. Marcus frowned. "I only asked about one house." She hesitated. So did they. The files belonged to different families, different decades, different names. Each one reported hearing voices beneath the floor. One family abandoned the house overnight. Another disappeared entirely. The last report simply ended mid-sentence. No explanation. No follow-up. Marcus looked up. What happened to them?" The clerk opened her mouth, then quickly closed it. Someone had entered the office. An older deputy stood quietly near the doorway. His uniform looked worn. His face looked even older than it was. He didn't introduce himself. He only asked one question. "It knows your name?" Marcus felt his stomach tighten. Yes." The deputy nodded once, then said something Marcus would never forget. "If it ever sounds like someone you love, don't answer." Before Marcus could ask another question, the deputy turned and walked away. The clerk waited until he was gone before speaking again. He comes by every few months. For what? She looked toward the door. I don't think he's looking for answers anymore. Marcus hired a contractor to inspect the foundation. While crawling beneath the house, the contractor found an old wooden hatch buried beneath loose dirt. Marcus opened it himself. The passage beyond was barely wide enough to crawl through. The deeper he went, the quieter everything became. Even his own breathing sounded far away. At the end of the tunnel sat a single wooden chair, facing the wall, not the entrance, as though someone had spent years sitting there, watching. The wall behind the chair was covered with scratches, thousands of them. One sentence repeated over and over and over. He is not my father. Marcus backed away. Then he heard breathing behind him. Not ahead, behind. Something slowly dragged itself through the tunnel. Wood scraped against stone. His flashlight shook. He turned around. Nothing. Then a little girl's voice. Soft. Barely louder than a whisper. Please, don't leave me. Marcus ran. He didn't stop till he was outside. He slammed the hatch shut and nailed it closed himself. Sheriff's deputies searched the tunnel the next morning. They found the chair, the scratches, the empty chamber. Nothing else. No footprints. No child. No explanation. As Marcus watched them pack their equipment, the older deputy walked over. He looked toward the garage. You moved something. Marcus blinked. What? Out of the crawl space. Marcus thought for a moment. The lantern? The deputy stared at him for several long seconds. His expression changed. Not fear. Something closer to disappointment. Where is it? In the garage. The deputy closed his eyes. Just for a moment, then quietly said, It should have stayed where it was. Marcus waited for an explanation. None came. The deputy simply tipped his hat, got into his cruiser, and drove away. Marcus and Emily moved 6 days later. Neither of them ever spoke about the farmhouse again. Life slowly returned to normal, or so they believed, until one night, months later, Marcus woke at exactly 3 o'clock. The room was silent. No whisper. No scratching. Nothing. Then, from somewhere near the bedroom door, came the faint sound of metal, gently swinging. He opened his eyes. The old lantern stood just inside the doorway. He knew, with absolute certainty, he had left it in the garage. At the foot of the bed, Emily whispered in her sleep, Marcus, someone's outside. He looked toward the window. There was no one there. Then she whispered again, without opening her eyes, No. He's under the house. I don't know what Marcus heard after that. He refused to tell anyone. The family left the state not long afterward. The house still stands, empty. At least, that's what people say. But every few years, someone buys it. And every few years, someone asks the county office that very same question. What happened in that house? The answer has never changed. No one knows. Or if someone does, they aren't talking. Sleep well and remember, some voices aren't meant to be answered. I'll see you next time, after dark.